We are missing Santiago is still now not on video, and Rugiato is not in video. What's up, Ann? What's up? Come on, guys, and one is still missing. Who is missing? Anybody has any idea who is missing? See, it looks easy. Everybody is so busy. They are laughing but not answering.
Some are, but most of them no.
No, why
Yeah.
not? All
No.
answers are you guys know. If you read the PowerPoints, all answers you guys know. Very
You know,
simple answers.
we have
I
to
made
search.
the question so that is very. I didn't actually make the. I made some questions and I also collected from different sources
Mm-hmm.
so that
We're
you can.
trying.
Yeah, we're trying. And
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
see
Try to
if
do
our
first and then
device
yeah.
company.
19. Somebody is missing. Who is not here till now? Oh my God, it's 9:23. Another 7 minutes more, then we'll start. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you have
thank
to
you.
do it. You have to do this way or that way. It's okay. So you guys do that one, and yeah, I will 9:30. I will do the last call, and then we'll do the rest. There are not too much to. I have to do. Who is doom doom? Who is making the sound? Okay. Something is making sound. Okay, so basically files. Hmm? Sorry. দাঁড়া। Okay, let us do the now student dashboard. Outstanding attendance. Jim short. Jim short. Mm. So I'm just doing the attendance. It's almost 9:35, and then we'll start the class. And then after that, you can get the time for your review. It's going to be better for you, though you have the weekend. Okay, so I'm going to call the name. Please respond. Alexia. Alexia. Alexia is not here. Okay. Zenaida.
Present, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay. Christiana.
Hi, good morning. Present.
Okay. Yusra.
Yes, present.
Amina.
Good morning, present.
Younghang.
Good morning here.
Okay. Alexia is not here. Zenaida is here. And then Fazardo.
Morning, ma'am.
Okay. Santiago.
I'm here.
Joanna.
I'm here.
Chris Mardell.
Here, good morning.
Michelle. Michelle. Kara, I saw you. Michelle.
Yeah,
Kara,
I'm
Kara,
here.
Kara. Sorry, Kara, Michelle.
That's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Ezidin is always absent. Okay. Savannah is here today, right?
Yes, I'm here.
You are feeling good today?
No, I still have the fever and a sore throat, but I'm here.
Oh my God. Did you went to the doctor or just?
No, I didn't. I'm just taking medicines from home.
Oh, okay. Okay. Asenet,
I'm here.
Luis. Okay. Okay. Evelyn.
I'm here. Good morning.
I know. Rugiato?
Good
Rugiato?
morning, teacher.
Rugiato, you are here? Yes, it is. Maris. Maris.
Good morning.
And Varna.
Good morning, ma'am. Present.
Okay, everybody except the Alexia, everybody is present. Okay, good. Okay. I don't know what we have to study now today. Okay, chapter 6.
Sorry, did you call me? Sorry.
Hello?
Hi, this is Huda. Did you call my name?
Who is that?
Huda.
Yeah, I called you. You said yes or something. I called your name or maybe you missed it. I called. First one, you are first
Okay.
one. Huda, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I missed
Yeah.
it.
That's why I told except Alexia, everybody is here. Yeah. And we are 19 instead of 20. Yeah, good. Okay. So let me share my screen. Take attendance, student dashboard, too many are open. By Sma. I have to do the email, but I'm not doing this one. I have to do the membership. My goodness. So many. Give me a second. Marks.com. Campus portal. Students. Used. Good. Hmm. Send this one. So this one is I have to share my screen. This one, I have to chapter this one. Share the screen. Share this. Yeah. So yesterday we learned about the lot of the muscles, and we have learned that muscles have main filaments, actin and myosin. Those are the main two filaments. I am not going to go to the details about the different bands and other things. You doesn't need that. Somebody's microphone is on, so it's giving the feedback. Okay, so but there are two muscle fibers, actin and myosin, and they move between the sliding movement each other. So muscle force depends upon number of fibers stimulated. How many fibers can be stimulated? That depends. Is more fiber stimulated, more force. Less stimulated, less force. So basically, it's the same thing is telling the second line, more fiber contracting first when this muscle become in acting, a muscle contract first. When there is any need for first muscle fiber contract from the force. And the contracting force depends upon the more fibers contracting results in greater muscle tension. That when you are pulling something, your muscles are getting contracted. How much you can pull it, it depends upon how many fibers of your muscles can contract it, which gives you the muscle tension. Muscles can continue to contract unless they run out of energy. So you can see you can hold something for some time. But when the muscles got tired, you cannot hold it even you want to. So muscles have some time, it can stay contract because they are using ATP and everything energy. But when the muscle run out of energy, then you will feel slowly muscles at your hands or anything is getting loose. That means muscles are tired. So what are the energy for muscle contraction, which I told? Muscle use stored ATP for energy. Whatever the ATP has been stored in their cell, each muscle cell, they used that ATP. You doesn't need to know how ATP works. Generally, it broke down and release energy. ATP, there is a mechanism. I am not going to that. So ATP, this always you have to make sure in the cell what is the main source of ATP. What is the main source of energy is ATP. And ATP breaks down to release energy. Only 4 to 6 seconds worth of ATP stored by muscles is okay. You doesn't have to remember, but it's good to know. So after this initial time, other pathways must be utilized to produce ATP. So whatever they have used it, then they are looking for the other sources from different channels, from different roads. Pathways means, so this is the chemical or signaling pathways. This is the chemical pathways. It's intricate, it's very complicated. But if they get the ATP, the muscle will still stay active as contractile phase. But if they doesn't get that ATP, it start getting tired and slowly it become loosened. Oh my God, no, it's too much for you guys. It's a total biochemistry. Doesn't need. So now we can come to next phase, energy for muscle contraction. So that is aerobic respiration. Aerobics means which needs the air. So glucose in the muscle, whatever we eat something, we told that it's ultimately it becomes converted to the glucose as a sugar and it goes to it from the intestine through blood, it goes to the different cells. So the glucose is the sugar which goes into the cell and stay there. But when there is a need, the glucose is broken down to carbon dioxide and water. And who does that help to break down? That is the ATP. When the ATP breakdowns, the glucose giving the energy, so then the muscles got the error. That is called the aerobic respiration because it needs the oxygen. So in presence of ATP, glucose broke down to carbon dioxide and water. So this is everything happens in the mitochondria. Mitochondria is the place where the mainly source of ATP there and ATP breakdown. There is a slower reaction that requires continuous oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water are produced. So oxygen is required for your continuous breakdown of glucose or giving the energy, producing the energy for the muscle to stay in the contraction phase. It's called the glycolysis and lactic acid formation. Sometimes when the muscle is too tired, there are a lot of lactic acid formation. How it happens? See, so glucose got. Then in presence of ATP, it breaks down to pyruvic acid and finally lactic acid. So these lactic acid released in the blood. This is the anaerobic pathway. So lactic acid. When there is no oxygen, then muscle breakdowns to lactic acid. Then the muscle got tired. When the muscle cramps sometimes, you got the deposition of lactic acid there. Then that's why you can the slowly release. So one of the, this is, I'm telling you lactic acid because this is the one of the measurement we do in the blood to check the muscle activity, lactic acid. What is the cardiac muscle or skeletal muscle or smooth muscle, any muscle. When there is anaerobic pathway, there is no oxygen, muscle break down to lactic acid using the glucose. Anaerobic glycolysis and lactic acid formation, reaction that breaks down glucose without oxygen. When there is a muscle is not gaining enough oxygen, but till muscle try to produce energy. But at the end, what happened? It produces the lactic acid. So glucose is broken down to pyruvic acid to produce about 2 ATP. Here the other source, they are trying to get the ATP for the, it's a balance. The ATP, what is already stored in the muscle fiber, it used up. Now muscle to function or stay in the contractile phase, muscle needs more energy. So what happens? The glucose in the cell then break down inside the muscle cells is break down to produce lactic acid. At the same time, it produces 2 ATP. And this ATP is going to help it to keep the muscle contraction. At the same time, lactic acid production makes the damage to the ultimately the muscle cells because they are producing the another way. Glucose is getting absorbed now. Glucose is getting waste. You doesn't need to know all of the things. Only you can see the lactic acid is one of the marker for muscle breakdown. And
Miss,
which, yes,
question. So if the ATP give energy to the muscles, right?
yeah.
What relaxes the muscles after strong like concentration, like a strong
Okay, so basically whatever the glucose is there, that is going to be end one time, right? Muscle is trying to compensate to get the ATP using the another source, another pathway.
so you're saying that the APT relaxes the
Not
muscles?
APT, ATP,
ATP relax. So the ATP give the energy and
energy for
and
the muscle
also
contraction, no relaxation.
so what relaxes the muscles?
When the ATP is going to be used up and or when there is no pull or no strength is there, like you are pulling something or you need moving something, so you are holding something, say for example, so you are holding something, right? Muscle needs the strength, so muscle need to be contracted, so they are using the ATP whatever is stored in the cell first. When till you are holding the things, muscle needs more ATP, right, to stay in the contractile phase. Then in the cell, inside the cell, what is the glucose is going to break down to lactic acid to give you the ATP. It will do as much as they can, the cell can produce. Then after that, either there will be no ATP, the muscle will start getting relaxation, or if you move the source, what you are pulling, if you leave it that, it's okay. I am transporting this one from this place A to B. I transported it. During that time, the muscle cell are using all the things. When the transportation is done, you put the weight in the other place, the muscles start getting relaxation.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. These are the complicated pathway where that is oxygen is needed. So when oxygen is there, it happen to carbon dioxide and water, and there is a using the, these are complicated pathway. Leave it rather learn these things. Those are too much complicated for you guys. So muscle fatigue and oxygen deficit. Give me just 2 minutes, okay? It was the bell. Okay. This is for the salesperson. Unnecessary. Okay. So when muscle is fatigued, it is unable to contract even with a stimulus. Then when muscle is really fatigued, muscle has no energy. Sometimes you feel I have no energy. That means your muscles is also fatigued. So what are the common cause for muscle fatigue is oxygen deficiency. Oxygen must be repaid to tissue to remove oxygen deficit. Oxygen is required to get rid of accumulated lactic acid. For the lactic acid is getting, using it, the another pathway, taking that one to come for temporary action. But when the lactic acid deposited, muscle got fatigue. So that time oxygen also needed to get rid of the accumulated lactic acid. What happened? Increasing acidity from lactic acid and lack of ATP cause the muscle to contract legs. So because ultimately the ATP source is just gone because glucose is going to be exhausted. If it doesn't remove the stress or the weight or the cause of muscle contraction, I should say. So these are important types of muscle contraction. Isotonic contraction. Microfilaments are able to slide past each other during contraction. They slide each other, actin and myosin filament. Muscle shortens and movement occurs. When the muscle short, then the muscle or you can move. Example, bending the knee, rotating the arm, isometric. These are not going to come your questions. Sometimes all the isotonic contractions sometimes come, but very rare. So microfilaments are able to slide past each other during contraction. Muscle shortens and movement occurs. Isometric contraction, tension in the muscle, the tension increases. The muscle is unable to shorten to produce movement. When you push against a wall with bent elbows, what is happening? You cannot do that, right? Only there is a building of the tension. Muscle tone. Some fibers are contracted even in a relaxed muscle. Different fibers contract different types to provide muscle tone and to constantly don't need that. Effect of exercise on muscles. Exercise increases muscle size, strength, and endurance. So the aerobic is called the when you are getting the oxygen. Aerobic exercise like biking, jogging results in stronger, more flexible muscles with greater resistance to fatigue because they are getting toned with your oxygen and your exercise. Makes body metabolism more efficient, improve digestion, coordination. Resistant isometric exercise like weightlifting increases muscle size and strength. Who does all these things? You guys do that? I don't get time to do that. Some people are really good in doing that. Okay, these are couple of interesting and important point. All skeletal muscle at least cross at least one joint, not the cardiac or the smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles, at least they have to cross one joint. Skeletal muscles have at least two attachment from what's origin and the insertion. Skeletal muscles only pull. They can pull, but they cannot push. During contraction, skeletal muscle insertion move towards the origin. So where the insertion point, so when the contraction happen, during that, it moves from the origin to the insertion point. What is the movement? Movement is added when the muscle moving to an attached bone, when muscle is moving to the bone where it is attached. We told the muscles are attached at least 2 points. What are the origin and insertion? What is origin? You are going to get this question. Very careful. Attachment to a immovable bone or less movable. The area, the bone is immovable. That is the origin. And insertion to a movable bone. That is the insertion. These two questions are going to come. Maybe come. I cannot say 100% come, but this question generally comes very often. What is the origin or the insertion? Attachment, attachment of muscles to an immovable or very less movable bone is the origin, and insertion to an movable bone. So it's getting inserted in a movable bone. That is the place mainly it works. Movement from insertion to the origin. So this is the origin point and this is the insertion point where it's going to work. When you move that one, what is going to happen? From the insertion point, it is going to move to the origin. And this time, the muscle is getting contracted because the area is getting shorter. So now this is important. These are going to come. What are the different types of body movements? Flexion, when decrease the angle of the joint. Decrease the angle of the joint. Two bones come closer. Okay. Flexion, typical bending in joints like knee, elbow, or ball or socket like hip when you are moving. Anyway, the main thing is decrease the angle of joint or brings the two bones together. That is the main thing. Decrease angle of the joint. Flexion. Extension is opposite to flexion. It increases the angle of joint or between the two bones. So when you are moving, bringing your palm or your finger towards your shoulder, that is the flexion. And that means the bones are getting closer and the angle is getting decreased. Or the distance is getting decreased between the two bones. That is the opposite. You move your hand or palm away from your shoulder, make it straight. That is the extension. Extension is easy, you are extending it. So it's opposite to flexion. Increase the angle between the two bones. That is typical straightening of the elbow or the knee. Extension beyond 180 degree is hyperextension when you have moving more than 180 degrees. So here are the couple of example. You are moving the knee towards your butt is the flexion. When you are moving it back towards the floor is extension. An arm, when you are moving too much in the back like this, that is the hyperextension. Okay, these are very important. So see, how is that? When it's moving down, is flexion. Head down, flexion. Moving back to the original position, extension. From flexion position to the extension. And from the extension position, you are putting your head back more. Because your head straight is that position. That is your normal position. You are bringing down, flexion. Going back to original position, extension. And then you are putting your head down, back. That is the hyperextension. Now rotation. Rotation means we know that is moving around a axis. So when the movement of a bone around its longitudinal axis is called the rotation. What is that? Is common in ball and socket joint, where you have ball and socket joint. So when you move atlas around the dens of the axis, shake your head, no. You are moving both sides, right? No. Movement of bone around your longitudinal axis. Say yes. You are doing. When you are doing the yes, what you are doing? What you do? You put your head down, right? Yes.
Yes.
What is that? What is that?
Flexion.
Okay. And now you say no. How you say no? Put your head on both sides, right?
Rotation.
That is the rotation. Okay. Okay. So this is the rotation. You are saying no. Lateral. When you are putting the feet on the side, like both side, that is the lateral rotation. And when you are moving inside and out, that is the medial rotation that is going to. Now, abduction and adduction. Abduction, movement of the limb away from the midline. Okay, so this is your midline. You are putting the hands away. That is the abduction. You are doing abuse, abduction. I remember like that. And adduction means addition. I am bringing my limb towards my body. I'm adding it. So adduction. So it's opposite to. So away is abduction. Movement of limb towards the midline is the adduction. So see the example. So this is your original hand. So when you are taking this away, this is the adduction. Okay. When you are moving that's I told, take your hand out, adduction. And when you bringing back to its original position towards this is the midline, right? So from the midline, you are taking away, adduction. When you bringing towards the midline is the adduction. And when you are moving that one like this in the side, like you are moving the palm or moving the hand like this, rotation, this is called the circumduction, because you are moving it in the circular way. That's why it's called the circumduction. So combination, circumduction is a combination of flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction. You are doing everything here. You are moving away, you are going up, you are going down. So circumduction is a combination of everything: flexion, extension, abduction, adduction. Common in ball and socket joints where you can do that. Okay. This is the special movement, dorsiflexion. Means lifting the foot towards your shin bone. So you are putting your foot towards the shin bone. That is called the dorsiflexion. And plantar flexion, depressing the foot or towards the just opposite. Depressing the foot or pointing the your foot towards the toes. That is the plantar flexion. These all are very important, I am telling you. So this is the dorsiflexion, and just the opposite, you are just going behind that, is the plantar flexion. Inversion, turn the sole of the foot medially. It's going to medium. You are turning your foot on the inside, that is the medial. And when you turn the sole in the lateral, that is called the eversion. See, eversion, you are putting this away. Inversion, you are bringing towards inside, and eversion, you are putting it outside. These two are very important. Eversion or eversion is not like, but flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, circumadduction, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. These are very important, and so do these two, supination and pronation. I am 100% sure there will be questions on the supination, pronation, and all these. Which one is going to come, I don't know, but anything, because they have the question back, right? So supination, palm faces anteriorly, and palm faces posteriorly is pronation. When you are going to see, the picture is going to be more clear. So forearm rotates laterally. Forearm rotates laterally to palm face anterior. So radius and ulna are parallel. You doesn't need to remember that one, but that is the fact happens. And when the radius and ulna cross each other like an X, then is the pronation. See the example. How is that? You are facing your palm towards you, that is the supination. When you are pushing your hand palm, you are seeing the palm up of the palm, that is the pronation. When you are seeing your inside of the palm, real palm, that is the supination. And when you are seeing the backside of the palm, that is the pronation. And opposition, when you are doing the opposition, movement of the thumb to touch of the other fingers on the same hand. That is called the opposition. So now the types of muscles, you doesn't need to do too much. There may be some 1 or 2, 3 questions, 1 or 2 questions in the whole, or may not be, but it's too much to remember and to understand. Prime mover, the muscles with the major responsibility for a certain movement, that is the prime mover. Which muscle is taking the major responsibility? That is the prime mover. An antagonist, which opposes or reverse the primary mover, giving the, it's like a giving the resistance so that the muscle cannot move. That is the antagonist. Synergist, muscles that aids a prime mover in a movement and help prevent rotation. So that you are holding something straight, it's going to help you to keep you straight. It's not going to bend down or rotation. If it's like that, it may hurt you. And fixator, stabilize the origin of a prime mover. Would stabilized it? These are not going to come that question. This is here. So how you name the skeletal muscles? This is important. How you name the skeletal muscle. You may not be able to remember the names of all the muscles. It's very difficult. We have probably 600 something muscle fiber, muscle things, not muscle fiber, all the different types of skeletal muscle and other muscles. It's impossible to remember. But how we name the, we have skeletal muscle all over the body, right? So doctors or the scientists need to name it. Otherwise, how they are going to understand which muscle is giving problem or what they have to take care of that? So by the direction of the muscle fiber or by the relative size of the muscle. Direction is rectus, means straight. Size is maximum, is the largest. Sometimes by the location of the muscles, the temporalis muscles, means which are in the temporal bone, in the head, or by the number of origin, triceps, biceps, where they have the 3 heads, 2 heads. Say, for example, by the location, name of the from the muscles origin and insertion, sterno, when ischemitis sternalis, then is the name of the location from where the muscles origin and insertion. Shape of the muscle, deltoid, is a triangular. Deltoid means all muscles which are triangular muscles. Action of the muscle, which extend or contract, flexor and extensor. The pectoralis major is in your chest area. Rectus is in your femoral region. Extensor line is in the thigh or femur region. So these are different types of muscles present in different areas. These couple of questions are couple of muscles, sometimes important, sometimes scale, raises, eyebrows, frontalis. Okay, this is important to know. Sometimes this question come. Orbicularis oculi, closes eyed, blinks wings. This doesn't come that much. Orbicularis oris, this is doesn't come. Closes mouth and protrudes the lips, but it is better to know. Buccinator, buccal region is the cheek region, so that's the name of the buccinator. Flattens the cheek and chews. Zygomaticus raises corners of the mouth and chewing muscles. Only one is enough for you guys. Frontalis, this is the eyebrows. Generally, this only comes. I didn't see any other questions come from here. But don't blame me if it comes. But generally, it doesn't come. To be honest with you, I'm just teaching for a long time. I didn't see any of the muscles. The neck muscles, platysma and sternocleidomastoid. So it flexes the neck, rotates the head. Platysma pulls the corners of the mouth inferiorly, doesn't need it, to be honest with you. There are so many muscles. For your learning, for your interest, you can obviously learn, look at that. But these two sometimes come. Pectoralis major. This is important. Pectoralis major adducts and flexes the humerus. Sometimes it comes. Pectoralis major, they can give you some options, or they can ask the muscles which adducts and flexes the humerus. Adduction means
Away from the body.
from the midline. Okay. Intercostal muscle. Costa means rib. So we have muscles in between the rib cage and also for covering support and everything. So external intercostal raise the rib cage during inhalation, and internal intercostals depress the rib cage to move air out from the lungs. So there are two sets of muscles are working there. External, which is in the outside, when you inhale, they expand so that the rib cage can extend, and so that the lungs can get the air when you are get the fill in the air, and then you exhale, and then the intercostal muscles take care, they start doing contraction, so slowly the lungs air is going out. So this is the pectoralis major. We have in the humerus, we have the biceps brachii. You doesn't need to know this means a deltoid muscle. See the triangular shaped muscle. So that's why it's called the deltoid muscle. And this is the sternum. You doesn't need it. If you want, I can tell you. But it's in the PowerPoint. If you have any interest, you guys can do that. But these are not going to come in the question or in the exam. These sometimes come. What is the trapezius muscle? Elevates, depress, and adducts and stabilize the scapula. Scapula is in the back, the wing-shaped structure, right? So, which elevates, depress, adducts, and stabilize the scapula, that is the trapezius. This is the scapula. And then latissimus dorsi, this is extends and adducts the humerus. These two may come sometimes, not always, very rare, but these two sometimes come. Deltoid muscle is arm abduction. Let me show the video so that is going to be easy for you. And then we are going to fix. Oh, no, copy image. Copy. Okay, so I don't know where it's going to put here. Paste. Where is the video? No video. That's not the video then. Oh, it's here. Play. Why is it not playing? Oh, I have to put the copy. Do you want to? Okay, let me play this one if it can. Maybe.
I'll never forget that night. Dispatch alerted us of an elderly gentleman with chest pain.
We observe two diagrams of the humerus, scapula, and clavicle. The left diagram is seen from an anterior view, and the right one is seen from a posterior view. The subscapularis muscle originates from the subscapular fossa. Its fibers converge laterally to be inserted on the lesser tubercle of humerus. Subscapularis is supplied by the upper and lower subscapular nerves. The teres major muscle originates from the posterior aspect of the inferior angle of the scapula.
You want to watch the video?
Its
That is not going to
insertion
be
is
important
on
for
the
you.
medial
But in the
lip
course, that's why
of
I'm
the
playing the video.
intertubercular sulcus and is supplied by the lower subscapular nerve.
What do you guys
On the
want?
right diagram are best viewed the following muscles.
Maybe we
The
skip the video,
supraspinatus
ma'am.
muscle
Yeah,
originates
because
from
I
the
think you doesn't need
supraspinous
this one.
fossa.
Let me open another one if there is really something is interesting. This is better. I think if it's some abduction, if it scan.
For the ones always looking to further their learning.
if there is something.
Abduction is the movement of a limb away from the midline, away from the body, from here to here. This is abduction. Shoulder abduction occurs on steps. Different degrees are controlled by different muscles.
Oh, we don't need
So,
that.
to
Oh,
abduct
that is
your
too much.
shoulder from the midline to 15 degrees, there is a muscle responsible for that. From 15 to
You
90,
guys are
another
too
muscle.
much. I don't need those.
Miss, can we do the questions, please? I mean, if you want us to do it on our own or concentrate.
No.
on-
I'm just that is the part of your teaching. That's why I'm just seeing. Otherwise they said
Okay.
I didn't teach you. That's why just looking
Okay.
at that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. That's why if it doesn't work, then I'm going to go back. Okay. These are doesn't need. These are wastage of time is going to be happen. Sometimes I feel, this sometimes they want to make us specialists for every field. Okay, this one is important. Hamstring muscle, thigh extension and knee, because that is called this is important. Hamstring muscle, okay? Whatever is important, I'm going to. So hamstring muscle helps in doing the knee joint, okay? Thigh extension and knee flexion. So this is important. Who does the thigh extension and knee flexion? That is the hamstring group of muscle. You doesn't need to know all the name, but it's the hamstring group of muscle helping the thigh extension and knee flexion. So thigh extension, knee flexion. That means knee is bending back, and when you are bringing it in the front, it's called the extension, right? It understandable what I said? You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Whenever I teach, I am doing my feet like this. I am putting my hand like lateral. So you guys do that. Yeah, I do that, That's why I can also, it's too much. Sometimes I got confused too. When I teaching everything. Okay, this one doesn't need that. Quadroscope. No.
Ooh.
So most of the time they give the injection in the deltoid muscle. This is a thick muscle. So they give the injection, mostly the injection in the deltoid muscle, all in here, gluteus maximus, because it's a really, really muscly portion. So when you have to do the IM injection, intramuscular, they give so she's telling safe area here to do the injection.
What's the name of that muscle you just said, Miss?
Which one?
The one that the injection done. The glitter.
Gluteus medius.
Okay. And what about the top one at the shoulders?
For the injection is a deltoid.
Deltoid muscle.
Deltoid. Yeah, thanks.
What is the video? Is there any video here? Okay.
I'm Professor Rick Mitchell, and I teach pathology at Lecturio and also at Harvard Medical School. And I've seen the academic.
Helen in Paris, Tristan and Isolde. These famous star-crossed lovers bring to mind insatiable longing, forbidden love, and tragic separation, and poets and emo rockers love them for it. But you know where else you can find a nice, hot romance? Your muscle cells. They've got their own famous coupling, a pretty pair of tiny protein strands called actin and myosin. Romeo and Juliet may have set a chain of tragic events into motion with their infatuation, but deep down in the cells of your muscles, the hot protein action between actin and myosin is actually literally causing all all of your motions. All of them. And I don't just mean voluntary stuff like walking down the street or moving your mouth so you can talk or chew chips, because your muscles also support your weight and help fend off gravity. The amazing thing about your complicated, self-healing, blood-guzzling muscle tissues is that they turn chemical potential energy into mechanical energy, or movement, simply by doing two things: contracting and relaxing. And that contracting and relaxing is exactly what's fueled by the constant coupling and separation of biology's greatest lovers. Somebody get these proteins a movie contract. You will recall from our early lessons on tissues that you're kept alive and moving by three types of muscle tissue: smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. Your smooth muscle tissue is found in the walls of all your hollow visceral organs like your stomach and airways and blood vessels, where it involuntarily and very usefully pushes fluid and other material around by contracting and relaxing over and over. Your heart is so important that it gets its very own muscle tissue type, cardiac muscle, which looks striped or striated and also functions involuntarily to keep your blood pumping without you having to think about it. But when you hear the word muscle, you're probably thinking of the kind that you see on Chris Evans when he first walks out of that machine in Captain America. And those types, the ones you can see and feel and flex, are your 640 skeletal muscles. They're striated like cardiac muscle tissue, but they're also mostly voluntary, meaning you have to think about using them and activate them with your somatic nervous system. Most of them attach to your skeleton and create movement by pulling bones in different directions as they contract. Each one of your different skeletal muscles, like your biceps brachii or vastus lateralis or gluteus maximus, is technically its own organ made up mostly of muscle tissue, but also of connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerve fibers. And because your muscles are voracious energy hogs, each one is rigged up with its own personal nerve to stimulate contraction, and its own artery and vein to keep it well fed with all the blood and oxygen and nutrients it needs to operate. But to understand those operations, we first need to get a grip on the anatomy of a skeletal muscle, which involves fibers within fibers and lots of layers. Basically, a skeletal muscle is constructed like a really sturdy piece of rope. Thousands of tiny parallel threads called myofibrils squish together to form muscle fibers, which are your actual muscle cells, cells with mitochondria, multiple nuclei, and a cellular membrane called a sarcolemma. Those muscle fibers then form larger string-like bundles called fascicles, which combine to form the larger rope-like muscle organ like your biceps brachii. Overall, this bundles of bundles configuration makes muscle tissue fairly sturdy, but considering how much abuse your muscles take when you do something like pretty simple, like lift a big bag of dog food, it's no surprise they need a little help. That's why every muscle contains a few different kinds of supportive sheaths of connective tissue, the protective reinforcements to keep that bulging muscle from bursting. So that is the structure part of the story. But if you want to get into the nitty-gritty, the down and dirty of how you actually move, well, there are rules. Really just two main rules, and they have to do with proteins. And they're both true for a lot of the proteins we talk about, whether they're enzymes or ion channels or receptors or muscle proteins. And these rules are: 1, proteins like to change shape when stuff binds to them, and 2, changing shapes can allow proteins to bind or unbind with other stuff. So keep those rules in mind while we see how a muscle fiber contracts and relaxes. Now, remember those tiny myofibrils that bundle up to form your muscle fibers? They're divided lengthwise into segments called sarcomeres, which contain 2 even tinier strands of protein, 2 different kinds of myofilaments called actin and myosin. And it's their angsty story of star-crossed love that fuels every movement your body could possibly dream up. A sarcomere contains both thin filaments made up mostly of 2 light and twisty actin strands, and thick filaments composed of thicker, lumpy-looking myosin strands. Each sarcomere is separated by what's known as a Z-line at either end, which is just a border formed by alternating thin filaments in a kind of zigzag pattern. A muscle contracting is all about sarcomeres contracting, bringing those Z-lines closer together. Alright, so now comes the romance. When your muscle cells are at rest, your actin and myosin strands don't touch, but they really want to. Specifically, that club-headed myosin wants to get all up close and personal with the actin. When this happens, and it will eventually, it's called the sliding filament model of muscle contraction. But in the meantime, like in any good love story, the pair have some obstacles to overcome. Namely, actin is blocked by a couple of protein bodyguards called tropomyosin and troponin, which keep getting in the way. Luckily, these guards can be bought off with a little ATP and some calcium. I prefer cash and nachos, but whatever. Remember, ATP is kind of like molecular currency. It contains chemical energy, and your muscles are all about converting chemical energy to motion, so they're always hungry for more ATP. Your muscle cells have lots of nuclei, but some of them also have a lot of mitochondria, whose sole purpose in life is to crank out ATP. And muscle cells also have their own version of an endoplasmic reticulum, the cell's transport and storage system, but in this case it's specialized, so it gets a special name, the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Its walls are loaded with calcium pumps, which use ATP to save up a bunch of calcium ions. And it's also studded with calcium channels that are linked to voltage-sensitive proteins in the membrane of the muscle cell. Say I want to move my arm. My brain sends an action potential along the motor neuron until it synapses with a muscle cell in my arm. The receptors on that muscle cell are ligand-gated sodium channels. So when the motor neuron releases our old friend acetylcholine into the synapse, the channels open up and create a rush of sodium into the cell as a graded potential, which, if it's strong enough, causes nearby voltage-gated sodium channels to open. Now I want to take a second and point out here that we're still talking about an action potential, but not in a neuron. This is happening in a muscle cell, people. So that action potential zips along a muscle cell's membrane, the sarcolemma, which has lots of tubes that run deep inside the cell called T-tubules. When the action potential travels down one of those tubes, it eventually triggers the voltage-sensitive proteins that are linked to those calcium channels in the cell's sarcoplasmic reticulum. When those channels are thrown open, the calcium stored inside rushes into the rest of the cell, and finally myosin is like, yes, here we go! At this point, the myosin is totally stoked, because the bodyguards that have been frustrating it are in for a big, irresistible distraction. That's because the protein troponin just loves to bind with calcium, and remember, when stuff binds to proteins, the proteins change shape. So the calcium latches onto the troponin and causes it to pull the other bodyguard protein, the tropomyosin, away from the sites on the actin strands that the myosin really wants to get its paws on. And suddenly it's all, okay? Okay. But the only myosin heads that can bind to those newly exposed sites are the ones that are ready for action. That is, the ones that have already grabbed a molecule of ATP that's been floating around and broken it down into ADP and the leftover phosphate. When a myosin head does that, it moves into an extended position, kind of like a stretched spring, still holding on to the ADP and the phosphate, and still storing the energy that was released when they were broken apart. So after all that, with the myosin primed for action and the bodyguards out of the way, the myosin finally binds to actin, and it is beautiful. When they bind, the myosin releases all that stored energy, and in the excitement of it all, the myosin changes shape. It pulls on its precious actin strand, kind of like pulling a rope hand over fist. In the process, it shrinks the whole sarcomere and contracts the muscle. That's the sliding part of the sliding filament model. Now, with its energy spent, that little head has no use for the ADP and the phosphate, so they unbind with it because, remember rule number 2, changing shape encourages proteins to bind or unbind with stuff. That unbinding causes a small change in its shape, which lets a fresh ATP bind there in its place. That binding causes another shape change, but this time it causes the myosin to release from the actin in a tear-jerking scene like some microscopic recreation of the finale from Titanic. But fear not, this epic is not quite over, because this is when the myosin breaks down its new molecule of ATP into ADP and a phosphate, which moves it into the armed position yet again, getting it ready for its next rendezvous. And meanwhile, those calcium pumps are working hard to restock the calcium in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, so they start grabbing the calcium that's floating around, causing calcium to unbind from the troponin. When it unbinds, the resulting shape change puts the tropomyosin bodyguards back into place. It's a circle. Or potentially a big Hollywood franchise with lots and lots of sequels. It keeps repeating itself many, many times every moment while I sit here and talk, and while you sit there and eat and text and take notes, the whole drama replaying itself over and over. Kinda like you'll have to play this video over and over again to get all the little steps of the sliding filament model straightened out. But hey, some stories get better the more you hear them. If you do watch this one again, you will relearn that your smooth cardiac and skeletal muscles create movement by contracting and releasing in a process called the sliding filament model. You'd also relearn that your skeletal muscles are constructed like a rope made of bundles of protein fibers, and that the smallest strands are your actin and myosin myofilaments. It's their use of calcium and ATP that causes the binding and unbinding that makes sarcomeres contract and relax. Special thanks to our headmaster of learning, Thomas Frank, for his support of Crash Course.
So this is a little bit complicated video. You doesn't need to know too much about the last part. how the sliding movement, the sarcomere, topomere is too much. So just remember actin and myosin. Actin is the thin filament, myosin is the thick filament. Do the sliding movement for the muscle contraction. We need the ATP and calcium. Okay. And sometimes that is the ATP when it's doing, and there is two pathways, aerobic and non-aerobic. When it's anaerobic, they produce the lactic acid. That's all. Even that doesn't be needed, but I'm telling you the lactic acid because sometimes, not sometimes, sometimes you have to draw the blood for the lactic acid. And how to do that, when I'm going to the LLSP in class, we are going to discuss about that. How to collect it, how to store it, how to send it. So that's all. Anything you think I didn't able to teach you, or you have any questions for anything, just ask me. Because we have covered unit 6 to 10. I try to focus whatever is really, really important for you. If I have to go every day 150 slides, it's not going to ever end the whole class in 4 hours. But what are more important, I try to do that. If you have any suggestions, any questions, anything, where the Sabana vanishes. Amina is not on the video also. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. What's up? You guys are upset with me? You guys doesn't like to talk with me?
We are listening.
Huh?
We
We're
are
listening,
listening.
miss. We're listening to you.
I'm just joking. So basically it's 10:39. You want a break?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Yes,
Now
please.
everybody here. Break time, everybody can hear. Everybody here. Immediately see the faces and yes, 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 yes. Okay, go for break and then try to work on that. And till we are going to be here, I am going to work something else for the next steps. You know, I have to always think about diet. Also have to work for, as you are guys working on your review, I am going to work on your review to find all the answers, because I picked up the questions. I didn't pick up the answer till yet. So I'm going to work on that. You do that. If you have any questions, till we have, if you come back at 11, so 11 to 1, 2 hours, probably you can complete the whole review today. And then you
Wow.
can study in the weekend, and Monday, everybody is going to go at over 90%.
Hopefully, thank you.
Okay,
Hopefully.
so go for break, come at 11, and from 11 to probably around 12:30, do as much as, by this time, go through the whole review. If you have any specific one that you cannot answer or you cannot understand, ask me before the weekend, okay? So that you
Okay.
guys can, I can help you on that. But
Okay.
whatever you think that the reviews are okay, you can answer it, we'll do that. Go for, don't waste your time, go for break. Break
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your break.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Everyone has a good break?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, okay, no problem. It looks like Amina always feels cold. Always she has hoodies on her head. So Alexia, again you are late today. Alexia, are you there?
Yes.
What happened? What is happening? Why you are so late?
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
Yeah.
You doesn't sure who how I am going to be make sure for you. Are you coming, going somewhere?
I usually sometimes I'll take my sister to school in the morning.
So you took your sister to the school in the morning. How far it is from your home?
I usually drive her at like 20 minutes.
Yeah, what time the school start then?
It starts at 8:45.
So you drop her at 8:45 sharp and then come back?
Mm-hmm.
Try to do a little bit early, okay? Because today I did the attendance call even after 9:30.
Okay.
For you, but you are not here. But now I see you are there. So yeah, okay. So please just drop her a little bit early so that you can manage it, because it's not only me. If the admin sometimes checks, because everything is they have the document, right? So it sometimes you may face problem. Okay, that's why I'm trying to telling everyone for your good. I know you can make it up, you will do good in exam and other things, but in case, okay? Thank you, dear. Okay, okay. So I'm turning the microphone off. If you guys need me anything, you can raise the hand, or you can send a chat immediately. I am in front of the computer, but I don't like you guys to disturb, okay?
Okay.
Thank
you.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
Okay. How's the review going? Going smooth? Good.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Good, good, good.
Hi, Miss Moon.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we gonna take up the answers,
Uh,
or are we doing it on our own, or?
no, you can do your own, but I can. You can if you have any confusion, any answers, then that one I can. And if you're the confident, you can do that. I am not giving to give you all the answers right now.
No.
Yeah. So if you have any questions or something, let me know. So any things that you feel hard not to begin to answer, so I can do that.
Okay.
So do you think? If I give the answer, it's going to be spoon feeding. Then you cannot remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything you think that you need to me to help you for not being understanding?
Let me check. I'm gonna check.
I have a
think there's.
question.
Okay.
I have a question. I might know the answer, but I'm not quite sure. So, the stomach muscle, is it involuntary,
Involuntary?
involuntary or voluntary?
Okay. Can you control your stomach movement?
Yes.
First of all, you ask your you ask
Involuntary.
yourself. You ask yourself. You can control. You
No.
can control your cardiac part. You can call your the pyloric part. You can control your rectum. When you feel the poo, you have to go to poo. Can you control your poo?
No.
Or
No.
so it's voluntary or involuntary?
Involuntary.
Involuntary?
Involuntary.
Okay, so you will get your answer. You ask
Yeah.
a question by yourself. Okay, do the stomach. You cannot do anything, right? Everything is
Yeah.
involuntary, except the skeletal muscle or involuntary. Only the skeletal muscle is voluntary.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was
Oh,
my confusion.
yes.
I got that confused. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the skeleton is voluntary.
It's voluntary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the stomach is
Because skeletal
involuntary.
muscle is for movement.
Yes.
So it's voluntary. If you want to
Voluntary.
move, the hand is going to move. If you doesn't want to, it's not going to move. So it's voluntary. At your
Right.
will, the skeletal muscle will move. I like to
Yeah.
walk or I like to sit. I don't like to go move. So skeletal muscle said, okay, take me rest. Okay, I have to move, go to the class. Skeletal muscle moving. So it's
Yeah.
voluntary.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was mixing those two up.
Me
Thanks.
too. I did that too.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Anything else? Looks like you guys are going to really do good. Designer, I don't need the designer. Facility. So how many questions? You completed all of them almost?
Not yet,
No,
Mom.
not yet, Mom.
There's a lot to search. Thank you.
Okay, good job. You guys are doing very good. I hope this time I gave you every day, it helps a lot for you guys to study and update yourself.
Yes, it does, Miss.
Yeah, because I know sometimes before I saw that the students cannot cope it up if I just take the whole class, and then at the end they doesn't have any time because somebody has to go to work, somebody has to do this, somebody has to do that. Okay. So it looks like all questions are okay to you guys. So you will be able to answer it on Monday. So Monday, what time you want to start the exam?
9:30.
When?
9:30.
9:30? 9:30, not everybody is present here. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
10 o'clock.
10? 10 is good for you guys? Or what? Yeah? Because
Yes,
I
it's
saw Alexia doesn't come by 9:30. If the exam is there, she has to come. But yeah, but 10 is okay. We'll do the exam and then we'll see whether we need to do the class, start the class a little bit, or we'll see from there. Okay. So after the exam is done, then maybe how long is the exam? I don't know. I'll send you the update. Okay. Okay, so we'll see it on that day in the morning. Around 10, we are going to see it. So you can start from 9, whatever you guys do, review, whatever may be, because last minute review and anything, if you have any last minute questions, I'll be there. Yeah, so, and then do study well. Good luck. Okay, enjoy your weekend. At the same time, do your study.
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
I think almost you guys are done because you guys have no questions or anything. So
No,
you
we're
guys,
still going through the questions, miss.
but it looks like you are doing okay. If you have questions, so you
There's
can ask. Yeah, it
We're
looks like
trying.
you will be
there's
able
still
to
lots.
handle it. I have confidence on you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Bye bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah,
Bye. Have a
I'm
nice
going to
Bye.
week.
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.